I'm going to show you how the world's richest people really got their billions. What's up, everyone? Today, we are doing something absolutely insane. We're going to count down the 10 richest people on the entire planet. These aren't just millionaires. These are people with so much money it's almost impossible to even comprehend. We're talking about figures that could literally change the world over and over again. Forget everything you think you know, because we're going to dive deep into exactly how each one of these billionaires built their unimaginable fortunes. Some of these stories are going to blow your mind. You'll see everything from tech geniuses who started in their garages, to master investors who can predict the market like no one else. We're breaking down their journeys, their biggest moves, and the single moments that catapulted them into the stratosphere of wealth. This isn't just about the money, it's about the strategy, the innovation, and sometimes the pure genius behind it all. I want you to pay close attention because some of these paths to riches are not what you'd expect. As we go through this list, from number 10 all the way to the richest person in the world at number 1, I want you to think about who inspires you the most. Is it the inventor, the investor, the disruptor? Drop a comment down below and let me know which billionaire's story resonates with you. Let's get this started. Alright, kicking off our list at number 1, we have the one and only Elon Musk. This guy is literally everywhere. You can't open your phone without seeing something about him, his companies, or his latest wild idea. He's the face of innovation, the king of disruption, and right now, the wealthiest person on the entire planet. But how did one person accumulate this much wealth? It wasn't a single lottery ticket, that's for sure. It's a story of building multiple revolutionary companies from the ground up, one after another. His journey into the billions really started with a company you might have heard of, PayPal. He was a co-founder of the online payment system that completely changed how we send money. When eBay bought PayPal for a staggering $1.5 billion, Musk walked away with a massive payday. But instead of retiring to a private island, he took all that money and gambled it on two of the riskiest ideas imaginable: electric cars and private space travel. People literally thought he was insane. He poured his fortune into founding Tesla and SpaceX. Tesla wasn't just about making electric cars, it was about making them cool, desirable, and better than gasoline cars. He faced bankruptcy multiple times, sleeping on the factory floor, pushing everything to the absolute limit. Simultaneously, he was building SpaceX with the insane goal of making humanity a multi-planetary species. He wanted to go to Mars, and he was building the rockets to do it himself, cheaper and better than anyone else. The world watched as Tesla went from a niche car company to the most valuable automaker on the planet. Its stock price exploded, and Musk's net worth went into orbit right alongside it. SpaceX also became a titan, launching satellites, astronauts for NASA, and dominating the private space industry. His wealth wasn't just from one success, it was from creating an entire ecosystem of futuristic technology that people couldn't get enough of. And his wealth is tied directly to the soaring value of these companies. But he didn't stop there. He founded the Boring Company to dig tunnels and Neuralink to connect brains to computers. And then, in one of the most talked about acquisitions in history, he bought Twitter, rebranding it as X. This move was classic Musk bold, controversial, and aimed at completely transforming an industry. Every time he takes a risk, it seems to pay off in a way that reshapes our world and adds billions to his name. So, Elon Musk's fortune isn't just from one thing. It's a combination of creating a revolutionary payment system, leading the electric vehicle revolution, privatizing space travel, and making huge strategic acquisitions. He is a serial entrepreneur who bets big on the future, and so far, those bets have made him the richest person in the world. It's an unbelievable story of relentless ambition. Coming in at number 2 is a man who operates in a totally different world from Silicon Valley. Meet Bernard Arnault, the chairman and CEO of LVMH Moet Hennessy, Louis Vuitton. If you've ever seen a designer handbag, a bottle of fancy champagne, or an expensive watch, chances are Arnault owns the company that made it. He is the undisputed king of luxury, a quiet titan who has built an empire based on desire, craftsmanship, and branding. Unlike Musk, Arnault didn't create his empire from scratch by inventing new technology. Instead, he mastered the art of acquisition. He's known in business circles as the wolf in the cashmere coat for his shrewd and often ruthless business tactics. His journey began in the 1980s when he took over a bankrupt textile company that happened to own one valuable asset, the fashion house of Christian Dior. This was his foot in the door of the luxury world. Using Dior as his foundation, he set his sights on LVMH, a newly merged company that was struggling with internal conflict between the leaders of Moet Hennessy and Louis Vuitton. Arnault saw an opportunity. He strategically bought up shares, pitted the executives against each other, and in a legendary corporate takeover, he emerged as the majority shareholder and chairman. He had seized control of the world's largest luxury group, and he was just getting started. Under his leadership, LVMH went on an unprecedented buying spree. He acquired dozens of iconic brands across fashion, jewelry, wine, and retail. We're talking about names like Fendi, Givenchy, Sephora, Bulgari, and in one of his biggest moves ever, the legendary American jeweler Tiffany & Company, he understood that while each brand had to maintain its unique heritage and identity, being part of a larger group gave them immense power and resources. His strategy was simple but brilliant. Buy timeless brands with incredible history, install the best creative talent to keep them modern and desirable, and then expand their global reach, especially into emerging markets like China. He controls every aspect of the business, from the design studios in Paris to the retail stores on Fifth Avenue. This control ensures that the quality and exclusivity, the very things that make luxury, are never compromised. So Bernard Arnault's fortune comes from his incredible ability to identify and acquire brands that represent the pinnacle of elegance and status. He didn't invent a new product, he curated an empire of them. His wealth is a direct reflection of the value of this unparalleled portfolio of over 75 prestigious brands. He sells beauty, status, and dreams, and it has made him one of the richest people on earth. Next up is a name that is practically synonymous with online shopping, Jeff Bezos. It's almost impossible to imagine a world without Amazon, the company he started in his garage in 1994. But back then, it wasn't the everything store it is today. It was just a humble online bookstore. Bezos saw the incredible potential of the internet before almost anyone else, and made a bet that would change the world forever. His vision was ambitious from day one. In the early days, Bezos was personally packing books and driving them to the post office. He had a relentless focus on customer obsession, aiming to provide the best prices, the biggest selection, and the most convenient experience possible. This philosophy was the engine of Amazon's growth. He reinvested every dollar of profit back into the company, expanding from books to music, then electronics, then toys, and eventually, well, everything. He was willing to lose money for years to build scale and dominate the market. This long-term strategy was genius. As Amazon grew, so did its power. It wasn't just an e-commerce giant anymore. Bezos pushed the company into entirely new territories. He launched Amazon Web Services, or AWS, which rented out Amazon's massive computing infrastructure to other companies. AWS became a hidden giant, powering huge parts of the internet for companies like Netflix and Reddit, and it is insanely profitable. This was a masterstroke that no one saw coming. Bezos continued to innovate. He introduced the Kindle, which revolutionized reading, and Alexa, which brought AI assistants into our homes. He acquired companies like Whole Foods to get into the grocery business and Zappos for shoes. Every move was designed to embed Amazon deeper and deeper into the fabric of our daily lives. The company became an unstoppable force, and as its stock price soared, so did Jeff Bezos' personal fortune, since he was its largest shareholder. The source of Bezos' incredible wealth is tied directly to the success of the company he built from nothing. He identified a revolutionary new medium, the internet, and used it to disrupt one of the oldest industries in the world, retail. He never stopped innovating, never stopped expanding, and never lost sight of his goal to make Amazon the most customer-centric company on earth. Even after stepping down as CEO, his influence and wealth remain immense. He now focuses on other ventures like his space exploration company Blue Origin, competing directly with Elon Musk. Jeff Bezos' story is a textbook example of how a singular vision, combined with relentless execution and a willingness to think for the long term, can build one of the most valuable companies and personal fortunes in human history. At number 4, we have a true giant of the original tech boom, a man who is as famous for his larger-than-life personality as he is for his company, Larry Ellison. He is the co-founder of Oracle, a company that might not be as flashy as Facebook or Tesla, but is absolutely fundamental to how the modern world works. If you've ever used a bank, booked a flight, or interacted with a large corporation's website, you've almost certainly used Oracle's technology without even knowing it. Ellison didn't have a typical start. He grew up in Chicago, dropped out of college twice, and moved to California with very little money. He worked a series of programming jobs, where he learned about a new concept for organizing information called a relational database. He read a paper by an IBM researcher describing this concept and realized that no company had yet succeeded in commercializing it. He saw a massive opportunity. In 1977, along with two partners, he founded a company that would eventually become Oracle. Their goal was to build and sell the world's first commercial relational database management system. Their first big client was the CIA. From there, they began selling their powerful software to corporations and government agencies around the world. Oracle's software became the backbone for countless businesses, managing their most critical data, from financial records to customer information. Ellison was a brilliant and aggressive salesman. He fostered a hyper-competitive sales culture at Oracle, famously pushing his team to crush the competition. Oracle grew at a phenomenal rate throughout the 80s and 90s, dominating the enterprise software market. When the internet boom happened, Oracle was perfectly positioned, as every new .com company needed a robust database to manage their operations. As the tech landscape evolved, so did Oracle. Under Ellison's leadership, the company expanded aggressively through acquisitions, spending billions to buy up competitors and complementary software companies like PeopleSoft and Sun Microsystems. More recently, Oracle has been pushing hard to compete in the cloud computing space, going head-to-head with giants like Amazon's AWS and Microsoft Azure. Ellison recognized that the future of enterprise software was in the cloud, and he was determined to get a piece of it. Larry Ellison's vast fortune was built on identifying a critical, unglamorous but essential piece of technology, the database, and building a corporate empire around it. His wealth comes from decades of Oracle's dominance in the enterprise software world and his massive ownership stake in the company he co-founded. He's a true Silicon Valley original, who proved that selling the picks and shovels of the digital gold rush can make you one of the richest people in the world. Our next billionaire is someone who defined an entire generation's social life, Mark Zuckerberg. He's the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook. It's a story that has been told in movies and books, a Harvard dorm room project that exploded into a global phenomenon, connecting billions of people and fundamentally changing how we communicate. The scale of what he built is almost hard to believe. The story starts in 2004. Zuckerberg, a psychology and computer science student, launched the Facebook as a social directory exclusively for Harvard students. It was an instant hit. Within months, it expanded to other Ivy League schools, then to all universities, and eventually to everyone. The core idea was simple but powerful. Create a profile, connect with friends, and share your life. The growth was explosive, unlike anything the world had ever seen before. Zuckerberg famously turned down massive buyout offers, including a $1 billion offer from Yahoo in 2006. He had a vision that was much bigger than just making a quick buck. He wanted to connect the entire world. He moved the company to Silicon Valley, secured venture capital funding, and focused relentlessly on user growth. The platform evolved, adding features like the newsfeed, photos, and the like button, all designed to keep users engaged and on the site for longer. The real key to Facebook's financial success, and Zuckerberg's immense wealth, was advertising. Facebook collected an unprecedented amount of data about its users, their interests, their connections, their behaviors. This allowed them to offer incredibly targeted advertising to businesses, a tool more powerful than anything that had come before. As more users joined, the value of this advertising platform skyrocketed, and so did Facebook's revenue. But Zuckerberg's ambition didn't stop with just the main Facebook app. He made two of the smartest acquisitions in tech history. In 2012, he bought Instagram for $1 billion, a photo-sharing app that many thought was just a fad. Then, in 2014, he bought the messaging app WhatsApp for a jaw-dropping $19 billion. He understood that the future of social interaction was visual and private, and he bought the two companies that were leading those trends. Today, the company is called Meta, reflecting Zuckerberg's massive bet on the metaverse, a future of immersive, virtual, and augmented reality. It's a hugely expensive and risky gamble, but it's classic Zuckerberg looking a decade ahead and trying to build the next major computing platform. His fortune, derived almost entirely from his ownership stake in the company he built, is a direct result of creating a social network that now has over 3 billion users, and then using that network to build one of the most powerful advertising machines in history. Now we have a name that for decades was the definition of the richest person in the world, Bill Gates. As the co-founder of Microsoft, he didn't just build a successful company, he ignited the personal computer revolution. His vision of a computer on every desk and in every home, running Microsoft software seemed audacious at the time, but it became a reality, and in doing so, he built one of the most dominant and profitable companies in history. The story begins in 1975 when Gates, a Harvard dropout, and his childhood friend Paul Allen saw an article about a new microcomputer, the Altair 8800. They realized that these new personal computers would need software to be useful. They quickly developed a version of the basic programming language for the Altair and flew to Albuquerque to demonstrate it. This was the birth of Microsoft. Their big break came a few years later. IBM, the biggest computer company in the world, was building its own personal computer and needed an operating system. They approached the small Microsoft team. In a legendary move, Gates and Allen licensed an operating system they had bought from another developer, adapted it, and renamed it MS-DOS. Crucially, they didn't sell it to IBM outright. Instead, they licensed it, but retained the right to license it to other computer manufacturers as well. This decision was the foundation of Microsoft's empire. As other companies cloned the IBM PC, they all needed an operating system, and Microsoft was there to sell it to them. Then came Windows. With its graphical user interface, Windows made computers accessible to everyday people, not just hobbyists and programmers. It became the standard operating system for PCs worldwide, creating a near monopoly that generated unbelievable profits for decades. Microsoft's dominance didn't stop with Windows. They created Microsoft Office, a suite of productivity software including Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. This software bundle became essential for businesses and students everywhere. The combination of Windows and Office created a powerful ecosystem that was incredibly difficult for competitors to break into. For years, Microsoft was the undisputed king of the tech world, and Bill Gates was its visionary leader. Since stepping down from his active role at Microsoft, Gates has shifted his focus. He has sold or given away much of his Microsoft stock and diversified his wealth through his personal investment firm, Cascade. He's also one of the world's leading philanthropists through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. But the foundation of his immense fortune remains the software empire he built, an empire founded on a brilliant business strategy and a vision that put Microsoft at the center of the personal computing age. Our next billionaire is a true legend, a man who has become fantastically wealthy, not by inventing a new technology or building a company from scratch, but by mastering the art of investing. He is Warren Buffett, the chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, affectionately known as the Oracle of Omaha, for his seemingly supernatural ability to pick winning stocks and businesses. His approach is famously simple, yet incredibly difficult to replicate. Buffett's journey started at a young age. As a child, he was delivering newspapers and selling Coca-Cola door to door. He was obsessed with making and saving money. He bought his first stock at age 11. He later studied under the legendary investor Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing. Graham's core idea was to buy stocks for less than their intrinsic value, essentially buying a dollar for 50 cents. This principle became the bedrock of Buffett's entire investment philosophy. In the 1960s, Buffett began buying shares in a struggling textile manufacturing company called Berkshire Hathaway. He eventually took control of the company, but instead of trying to fix the failing textile business, he used its cash flow to start buying other businesses and stocks. Berkshire Hathaway transformed from a textile mill into a holding company, a vehicle for Buffett's investments. This was the masterstroke that would build his empire. Over the decades, Buffett used Berkshire to acquire whole companies or large stakes in them. He wasn't interested in fads or complex technologies he didn't understand. He focused on stable, established businesses with strong, durable competitive advantages, what he calls moats. Think of iconic American brands like Coca-Cola, American Express, See's Candies, and the BNSF Railway. He looked for wonderful companies at a fair price rather than fair companies at a wonderful price. His strategy is all about the long game. He doesn't try to time the market or make quick trades. He buys businesses with the intention of holding them forever. This patient, disciplined approach has allowed the value of Berkshire Hathaway's assets to compound at an incredible rate over more than 50 years. People who invested with him early on and held on became millionaires. The annual Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting became a pilgrimage for investors, known as Woodstock, for capitalists. Warren Buffett's fortune is the result of a lifetime of disciplined value investing. His wealth is almost entirely tied up in his shares of Berkshire Hathaway, the company he built into a massive, diversified conglomerate. He lives a famously frugal life, still residing in the same house he bought in Omaha in 1958. His story is a powerful testament to the principles of patience, discipline, and thinking for the long term. Now we move to one half of the duo that completely redefined how we access information, Larry Page. As the co-founder of Google, he didn't just create a search engine, he created a whole new gateway to the internet. His core insight into how to rank web pages was so revolutionary that it left every other search engine in the dust and built the foundation for one of the most powerful and profitable companies the world has ever seen. The story, like, so many Silicon Valley legends, begins at Stanford University in the mid-1990s. Page, a PhD student, was exploring the mathematical properties of the World Wide Web. He teamed up with fellow student Sergey Brin. Together they developed a new way to rank search results. Instead of just counting how many times a keyword appeared on a page, their system, called PageRank, analyzed the links between pages. They reasoned that a link from one page to another was like a vote of confidence. The more important votes a page had, the higher it should rank. This was, honestly, the breakthrough. Their search engine, originally nicknamed Backrub, provided vastly superior results to competitors like AltaVista and Yahoo. In 1998, they incorporated Google and set up shop in a friend's garage. Their mission was ambitious: to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. The clean, simple homepage and the quality of the search results made Google an instant favorite among early internet users. The financial engine behind Google and the source of Page's immense wealth was the creation of AdWords. This was a brilliant system that allowed advertisers to bid on keywords and display small, text-based ads alongside the search results. It was a self-service, auction-based system that was incredibly effective because the ads were relevant to what the user was already searching for. This advertising model became, a money-printing machine. As CEO, Page guided Google's expansion far beyond search. He oversaw the development of products like Gmail, Google Maps, Chrome, and the Android operating system, which now powers the majority of the world's smartphones. He also pushed for the acquisition of YouTube in 2006 for $1.65 billion. A move that at the time seemed expensive but has proven to be one of the best tech acquisitions ever. In 2015, Page spearheaded a major corporate restructuring. Google became a subsidiary of a new parent company called Alphabet, with Page as its CEO. This allowed the core Google businesses to focus on what they did best, while also giving Page and Brin the freedom to invest in more futuristic, speculative moonshot projects, like self-driving cars with Waymo and life sciences with Verily. Larry Page's fortune comes from his foundational role in creating the world's dominant search engine, and then expanding that empire into just about every corner of the tech world. Coming in at number 9 is one of the most energetic and passionate billionaires on this list, Steve Ballmer. He's not a founder in the traditional sense, but his story is a powerful lesson in the value of loyalty, dedication, and being in the right place at the right time. Balmer joined Microsoft in its infancy and rose through the ranks to become its CEO, and his incredible wealth is a direct result of betting big on the company and holding on for the ride of a lifetime. Balmer and Bill Gates met at Harvard. While Gates dropped out to start Microsoft, Balmer stayed and graduated, then went to Stanford Business School. In 1980, Gates convinced Balmer to drop out of Stanford and join his tiny 30-person company as its first business manager. Balmer was employee number 30. He wasn't a programmer like Gates and Allen. His genius was in business, sales, and management. He brought a level of intensity and passion to Microsoft that became legendary. His loud, booming voice and energetic stage presence at company events are iconic. He led various divisions within Microsoft, including sales and support, and was instrumental in building the company's corporate culture and driving its aggressive business strategy during its period of explosive growth. He He was the ultimate company man, completely dedicated to Microsoft's success. In 2000, Steve Ballmer took over from Bill Gates as CEO of Microsoft. This was an incredibly challenging role. He had to lead the company through the aftermath of its antitrust battles and navigate the rapidly changing tech landscape of the 2000s, with the rise of Google and Apple. His tenure as CEO was a mixed bag. He oversaw huge financial success, tripling Microsoft's revenue and doubling its profits. He pushed the company into new areas like the Xbox gaming console and enterprise software. However, he was also criticized for missing key technology shifts, particularly the rise of mobile. Microsoft was late to the smartphone game, and its Windows Phone failed to compete with Apple's iPhone and Google's Android. Despite these challenges, the company remained a financial powerhouse, and Ballmer's wealth, which was tied up in his Microsoft stock, continued to grow. After stepping down as CEO in 2014, Balmer did something unexpected. He bought the Los Angeles Clippers NBA team for $2 billion. He now channels his famous energy into being one of the most passionate team owners in sports. Steve Ballmer's fortune is unique on this list. It wasn't built by founding a company, but by joining one early, dedicating his entire career to it, leading it through a critical period, and holding on to his massive stock ownership, which has appreciated immensely over 4 decades. Rounding out our top 10 is the other half of the incredible Google partnership, Sergey Brin. While Larry Page was focused on the core architecture of the search algorithm, Brin, a math whiz, was instrumental in building the data mining systems that made it possible. Together, they formed one of the most successful partnerships in business history, and Brin's role as a co-founder and visionary has secured his place as one of the world's wealthiest individuals. Brin was born in Moscow in the Soviet Union and emigrated to the United States with his family as a child. His father was a mathematics professor, and Brin inherited his incredible aptitude for numbers. He met Larry Page at Stanford, and while they reportedly didn't get along at first, they soon found a common interest in the challenge of extracting relevant information from the massive, chaotic dataset that was the early World Wide Web. Brin's contribution was crucial. He focused on the data mining aspects that complemented Page's link structure algorithm. Their collaboration was the perfect fusion of 2 brilliant minds tackling the same problem from different angles. When they founded Google, Brin took on the title of President of Technology, overseeing the engineering and product development that turned their academic project into a global service used by billions. Throughout Google's meteoric rise, Brin was often seen as the more public-facing and philosophical co-founder. He championed the company's famous "Don't Be Evil" motto, and was a key advocate for maintaining a creative and unconventional corporate culture. He was deeply involved in the day-to-day innovation, pushing the boundaries of what was possible and encouraging engineers to pursue ambitious projects. Like Page, Brin was a major force behind Google's expansion. He was particularly passionate about the company's more futuristic and secretive projects. He was the driving force behind Google X, the company's semi-secret research and development lab responsible for moonshot projects like Google Glass, the augmented reality spectacles, and Project Loon, which aimed to provide internet access via high-altitude balloons. With the creation of the parent company Alphabet, Brin became its president. This role allowed him to step back from the daily operations of Google and focus his attention on these groundbreaking long-term ventures. His wealth, like Page's, is derived from his co-founding role and his substantial ownership stake in Alphabet. Sergey Brin's story is that of a brilliant immigrant who teamed up with an equally brilliant partner to solve one of the biggest problems of the digital age, creating immense value and wealth in the process. And that's a wrap. 10 billionaires. 10 unbelievable stories of how they built their massive fortunes. From creating world-changing technology in a garage to mastering the art of investing over decades, each path was completely unique. We've seen how a relentless focus on innovation, strategic acquisitions, and sometimes just being in the right place at the right time can lead to almost unimaginable wealth. It's crazy to think about how much these 10 individuals have shaped the world we live in today. I hope you guys found these stories as fascinating as I did. It's one thing to hear about the numbers, but it's another thing entirely to understand the journey behind them. For me, seeing how many of them faced near bankruptcy and failure before their big breakthrough is incredibly inspiring. It just goes to show that persistence is everything. Which story was the most surprising to you? Was it Bernard Arnault's luxury empire or Steve Ballmer's journey as a loyal employee? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, do me a huge favor and smash that like button, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next video. We're always cooking up something big. Share this with a friend who needs a little inspiration, and I'll see you all in the next one.